What if I told you it is possible to find grace and glimmer inside the daily grind?
Sometimes the story we tell ourselves is not really true. Sometimes the story others tell about us is not really true. Here on today's Heart Lift with Janelle, we are going to learn how to rewrite our story. So pick up your favorite pen and journal, grab a cup of something delicious, and start your heart-lifting journey towards living a meaningful life.
Hello, Heart Lifters, and welcome to today's Heart Lift with Janelle. I'm Janelle, and I'm so glad you're here for our very special Thanksgiving week episode. We are closing out season 13 and beginning a brand new, beautiful holiday series called, drumroll please, Glimmers of Grace. Finding grace inside the grind. We're all familiar with that term, the daily grind. Plenty of coffee shops are named the daily grind, but this isn't about coffee. The grind that we're going to be talking about over the next few weeks as we prepare for Christmas is defined as everyday routine. Something that occurs so often, so frequently, that it has become mundane and monotonous. Maybe right this moment, you are involved in some mundane, monotonous, tedious, boring, exasperating, everyday task that can start to weigh on you. And as we approach the holiday season, I'm hoping to lend an invitation to find some grace and some glimmers speckled throughout the grind of your day. I have been wanting to speak about glimmers for so long now, and after the last few months in my life, I thought, it's time. It's time. I need this conversation, and I bet that my community might just need it as well. To help us really get a strong foundation in understanding this whole concept of glimmers, we also need to know about something called Polyvagel theory. We've talked about it a little bit in our community here, but Polyvagel theory emphasizes the role the autonomic nervous system, especially the vagus nerve, VAGUS, plays in regulating our health and behavior. Created and developed by Stephen Porge, PhD, the theory describes the physiological and psychological states which underlie our daily behavior, as well as challenges related to our wellness and mental health. By applying polyvagal theory to our personal lives, as well as to disciplines such as medicine, education, and management, we can understand how safety, co-regulation, and connection are paramount to a healthy experience. Second, in 2018, licensed clinical social worker Deb Dana, a U.S.-based psychotherapist, coined this term, glimmers. It's a concept that means tiny micro moments of joy that allow us to feel calm and give us a sense of inner peace. You know, just reading that made me have more peace. Tiny micro moments of joy that allow us to feel calm and give us a sense of inner peace. This concept of glimmers was brought to us in her book, The Polyvagal Theory in Therapy, Engaging the Rhythm of Regulation. So we're going to keep that phrase, the rhythm of regulation, in the front of our brain as we're moving into this adventure of finding glimmers in our grind, in our daily grind. Her introduction was written by Stephen Porges himself, and he writes, through the lens of polyvagal theory, we see the role of the autonomic nervous system as it shapes clients' experiences of safety and affects their ability for connection. The autonomic nervous system responds to the challenges of daily life by telling us not what we are or who we are, but how we are. The autonomic nervous system manages risk and creates patterns of connection by changing our physiological state. These shifts are slight for many people, and in the moments when large state changes happen, their system is resilient enough to help them return to a regulated state. Trauma interrupts the process of building the autonomic circuitry of safe connection and sidetracks the development of regulation and resilience. Clients with trauma histories often experience more intense, extreme autonomic responses, which affects their ability to regulate and feel safe in relationships. Trauma compromises our ability to engage with others by replacing patterns of connection with patterns of protection. I have to read that again. I was just in a really deep intensive today where this actually came up. Trauma compromises our ability to engage with others by replacing patterns of connection with patterns of protection. If unresolved, these early adaptive survival responses become habitual autonomic patterns. Therapy through a polyvagal lens supports clients in repatterning the ways their autonomic nervous system operate when the drive to survive competes with the longing to connect with others. That's why we're here. That's why we're taking this journey over the holidays, because I know you know what that might feel like. You're all excited to go over to the big Thanksgiving meal and gathering and Christmas parties, and you have this deep longing for connection, and then, whoa, something happens. Something happens in your senses. You hear a loud noise or a bang, or you smell a certain smell, or you taste a certain taste. Maybe somebody snaps their fingers really loud and you jump and you don't even know why. You flip your lid, you get into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn because a trigger has happened. I write all about triggers in my book, Stronger Every Day, 9 Tools for an Emotionally Healthy You. A trigger is a stimulus that elicits unhealthy emotional reactions that lead to even more unhealthy outcomes. A trigger sets off a memory tape or a flashback, transporting that you back to the event of your original trauma. Triggers are very personal, very, very personal. They increase your emotional intensity, and they're activated through the 5 senses, as I just said: sight, sound, touch, smell, and taste. I help you take the tension out of those triggers in Stronger Every Day. So just revisit that. And you can revisit earlier episodes. I'll put those in the show notes where we talk more about triggers in depth. The opposite of a trigger, which I recently learned and can't believe I didn't know it, is a glimmer. So the opposite of a trigger is a glimmer, a tiny micro moment of joy that allows you to feel calm and gives you a sense of inner peace. The key here being tiny, tiny, tiny micro moments. Wee little wisps of light that come along your path and take your breath away. Sometimes I call those everyday epiphanies. I have a beautiful small course you can take. I'll put the link in our show notes as well. But remembering that a glimmer is faint, tiny, a micro moment. But that's our mission. That's our mission to, along the journey of this holiday season, this specific holiday season, you and me are going to be hunting. We are going to be searching and looking and awakening to these glimmers of grace that God is going to send our way. Deb Dana continues in her book with a section called Safe and Social. Connectedness is a biological imperative. And at the top of the autonomic hierarchy is the ventral vagal pathway that supports feelings of safety and connection. Heartlifters, this is what we're born to have. We were born to connect. We were born to feel safe. She continues, the ventral vagus, sometimes called the smart vagus or the social vagus, provides the neurobiological foundation for health, growth, and restoration. When the ventral vagus is active, our attention is toward connection. We seek opportunities for co-regulation, the ability to soothe and be soothed, to talk and listen, to offer and receive, to fluidly move in and out of connection is centered in this newest part of the autonomic nervous system. Reciprocity, the mutual ebb and flow that defines nourishing relationships, is a function of the ventral vagus. As a result of its myelinated pathways, the ventral vagus provides rapid and organized responses. In a ventral vagal state, we have access, listen closely here, we have access to a range of responses, including calm, happy, meditative, engaged, attentive, active, interested, excited, passionate, alert, ready, relaxed, savoring, and joyful. Can I hear? Yes, I want this. I want my ventral vagus nerve to be so whole this holiday season so I can actually enjoy it. The vagus has been called the compassion nerve. As Dr. Keltner of the Greater Good Science Center explains, through the actions of the ventral vagus, we are wired to care. The ventral vagal state supports compassionate connections. And boy, if we ever needed compassionate connections, it's now. It's now, right now. It is this state that slows our heart rate, softens our eyes, brings a kind tone to our voice, and moves us to reach out to others. This same ventral vagal energy supports self-compassion, something we're vehement about here in this community, right? The act of reaching in to be with your own suffering with kindness. Compassion practices, through the activation of the ventral vagus, bring health benefits, including reduction in stress and enhanced immune function. I need this. There is a beautiful Aztec word, apapacho, A-P-A-P-A-C-H-O, that means to embrace or caress with the soul. The ventral vagal state of safety and connection brings with it the potential to offer and receive apapacho. Ventral vagal activity is good for each of us and good for the world. One more word that I want to bring to the table today is called homeostasis. I talk a lot to my clients about it. I've studied a lot about it myself. I have desperately needed to help my autonomic nervous system find its way to this state of homeostasis. And she writes, just as both the left and right hemispheres of the brain bring balance to our experience, all three parts of our autonomic nervous system cooperate to develop an embodied sense of well-being. The ventral vagus controls the face-heart connection. The sympathetic nervous system supports healthy breathing cycles and heart rhythms and plays a role in regulating body temperature, while the dorsal vagus promotes healthy digestion. You see there, the gut, right? The brain, the heart. With the regulating energy of the ventral vagus and the sympathetic and dorsal vagal branches adding their non-reactive actions, a sense of homeostasis, or what Peter Levine calls dynamic equilibrium, is achieved. This can also be referred to as equanimity. If you follow my Instagram stories, you will see many times how I'm putting up meditation exercises that help me come to equanimity. She continues, if a baby is born at 30 weeks of gestation or earlier, the protective part of the vagus, the ventral vagus, has not yet fully developed and myelinated. Without a fully functional ventral vagal system, the baby is dependent on dorsal vagal conservation and sympathetic activation to regulate states. The many machines, wires, and tubes in a neonatal intensive care unit are doing some of the work of the ventral vagus, while the baby's autonomic nervous system continues to develop. Without a ventral vagal system that is able to meet the demands of the day, okay, here we are, the grind of the day, with flexibility, people of all ages are pulled into conservation and activation to face the challenges of regulation. An autonomic nervous system that is missing the regulating influence of the ventral vagus brings health challenges, creates distress in relationships, and shapes a daily experience of suffering. And friends, this is why we're here, to help learn how to regulate our emotional state like a healthy adult human being. Deb Dana gives exercises, of course, in her book, and one of them is ask your nervous system. So here is our prompt for this week. The following 3 questions and common responses invite a beginning look at the 3 states of autonomic activation. Read the statements, or I'll read them to you, and consider how your autonomic nervous system would respond. Okay, number 1. My dorsal vagal system takes hold when I am without options, feel trapped in the situation, feel unimportant, am criticized, feel as if I don't matter, or feel as if I don't belong. 2. My sympathetic nervous system kicks in when I am pressed for time, I'm ignored, I am confused, I am pushed to make a choice or take a side, I am around conflict, feel responsible for too many people and too many things. I need a deep breath there. 3. My ventral vagal system comes alive when I think about people who are important to me, am out in nature, give myself permission to make my own choices, listen to music, enjoy quiet time with my dog. Stand under the stars, have my feet in the sea, am building Legos with my son, or share a cup of tea with a friend. So I think we can already sense that the power of our ventral vagal system and all those beautiful things that I read about what nourishes our ventral vagal system, these are the rhythms and the practices that we are going to introduce over the course of this beautiful holiday season. As a teacher, I want you to know these things. They're so important to your emotional and mental, spiritual, and your physical well-being. When we can understand and have knowledge about what's going on inside of our body, particularly now our autonomic nervous system, we can better cope and we can find our way to that state of homeostasis, that equanimity, that dynamic equilibrium, so that we can move into our holiday gatherings and regulate our emotions instead of react from a state of dysregulation. This is challenging, I know, but I believe with all of my heart, this is so important and so essential that it's worthy of our time. The scripture that's framing this journey for me is found in 2 Corinthians 9, verse 8 through verse 11. I'm going to read verse 8 from the King James Version because I really love the way that it speaks. God is able. God is able. Say it with me if you know it. God is able to make all grace abound toward you, that you, always having all sufficiency in all things, may abound to every good work. Able here in the Greek is dynatos, which means powerful, mighty, strong. And God is mighty. He's powerful. He's strong to make all grace. And grace here is charis, one of my favorite words, biblical words. That which affords pleasure, delight, sweetness, grace of speech, the divine influence upon the heart. So God is powerful, mighty, and strong to make all pleasure, delight, sweetness, grace of speech, and divine influence upon your heart abound towards you, so that you always will be sufficient in all things. In the Message Bible, I will read verses 8 through 11. God can pour on the blessings in astonishing ways so that you're ready for anything and everything. Does anybody want to be ready for anything and everything? I'm raising my hand. More than just ready to do what needs to be done. As one psalmist put it, he throws caution to the winds, giving to the needy in reckless abandon. His right living, right giving ways never run out, never wear out. This most generous God who gives seed to the farmer that becomes bread for your meals is more extravagant with you. He gives you. This is so personal. Put your name here. He gives Janelle. He gives me. He gives you something you can then give away, which grows into full-formed lives, robust in God, wealthy in every way, so that you can be generous in every way, producing with us great praise to God. I'll return to my opening question. What if I told you it is possible to find grace and glimmer in your daily grind? Oh, it might be hiding, but you can find it. And God promises that all grace will abound to you. Abundant grace, immeasurable grace, because of all the connections that we want to make through the holidays, the most important connection is with God. This is the season. I want to close with a glimmer that I write about in the final tool of Stronger Every Day. And it's the tool connection, human connection, save mental energy for the essentials. It's a beautiful story of a glimmer that God gave me. Sometimes the grass really is greener on the other side of the fence. While on a golf getaway with two other couples, the three golf widows decided to board the fancy new bullet train, Brightline, and travel from West Palm Beach to Fort Lauderdale. Carol, our gracious host, had an agenda filled with haunts and jaunts, my favorite, just tasting local cuisine, experiencing the flamboyant culture, and of course, shopping. Any good day on vacation includes a little retail therapy, right? Before we left on our adventure, I had a couple hours in the hotel alone. I grabbed my journal, my iPad, sporting its brand new fancy pants keyboard, and decided to eat breakfast by the pool. Why not collect some strength for the day ahead? Do a little devotional and connect with God. Surrounded by swaying palm trees and balmy Florida breezes, I tucked myself away at a patio table, hidden in a corner of the flourishing outdoor gardens. I can still see it. I can still feel the air. Quiet, secluded, refreshing. I'd been knee-deep in writing this book for months and needed rest. From somewhere deep inside, I felt led to set an intention for the day. I'm not sure where this rose up from or why, but I'm so glad it did. God, I prayed, help me find beauty, joy, kindness, and peace somewhere along the path of this day. So we will set our intention for this journey. I'm just talking now, it's not in the book. I look for glimmers of grace today. It's short and simple, and that intention blew across my heart like the soft breezes floating across my breakfast respite. And God, I added, I ask this for everyone in my sphere of influence too. I created a couple of social media memes and sent the words out to the universe. Just minutes after exiting the Brightline, we found ourselves in front of a very beautiful old home. Something caught our attention and we slowed down to take a look. What is growing from that tree? I asked, moving forward to get a closer look. Wait, is that an orchid? It definitely is an orchid, and it's tied to the tree with pantyhose, Rachel said with a laugh. Isn't that interesting? The three of us stood outside this big iron gate that surrounded the house in disbelief, fascinated by this mysterious sighting. Well, hello, ladies, said a woman with a robust, joyful voice from the other side of an iron fence. Why don't you come on in? Can we? We chimed in unison. Thank you. As she opened the iron gate, it was so magical. I think she may have sprinkled some invisible joy dust on us. Whatever burdens I was carrying vanished the moment I crossed that threshold. What is this place? I asked, feeling as if I'd just entered the magic of Burnett's secret garden. It is stunningly beautiful. Hello, the nice lady said with a smile, reminding me of another nice lady in one of my favorite books, The Trellis and the Seed. I couldn't help but think she had traveled through time, and she was now standing right in front of me. I'm Joanne, Master Gardener and President of the Fort Lauderdale Women's Club, she said, beaming. Excuse my attire, she said, whisking loose hairs from her face and brushing dirt off her jeans. I'm getting the gardens ready for our 100th anniversary celebration next week. Wow. We had to postpone it due to Hurricane Irma, which hit us hard back in the fall. We carried at least 10 dump loads out of here. It was devastating. You never get used to Mother Nature's harsh treatment. We've been rebuilding and getting it back to its beautiful self. We're getting there. Anyway, we'd sure love to have you join us. Oh, we're only in town for a couple of days, but we wish we could, we said. You can't tell a hurricane blew through here at all. Your gardens are stunning. Well, then let me show you around, nice Lady Joanne said with a big smile. As we started down the path through the butterfly garden, I stopped for a second. I could hardly contain myself. I pulled out my phone and sent a short video to all of you in this community, telling you all about my joyous discovery. Can you believe this? I said with a laugh, living proof of the power of setting intentions. Just a couple hours ago, I prayed and asked to find beauty and joy and peace along today's path. Well, here we are, and here it is. Let's see what else we can find. That is what a glimmer is. We set an intention for this holiday season. I like to make my intentions prayers. God in heaven, you are the master of glimmers. You have created glimmers. We ignore them. We bypass them. We are so distracted that we don't even notice. But we want to notice this holiday season. I pray that we will awaken to your glimmering presence in our life and to all the glimmers that you are going to send our way. Our hands are open, our hearts are open, our minds are open, and when we might be standing somewhere and we experience a trigger, a stimulus that sets us off into that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, I pray that we are so quick to recognize it and go, oh, no. That we regulate our emotional state, we find our way to homeostasis, we implement some of these vagus nerve practices we're going to be learning here over these next few weeks, and we look for the glimmer. Yes, that is my prayer. That is my intention, my affirmation for each one of you as well. Now, this is going to be a collaborative event, my friends. So I invite you to join me on this collaborative journey that we're going to take. I'm so excited for myself and for you. There are 3 different ways we can connect. Let's talk about them so that you can make sure that you're part of this and that you're getting all of the additional resources and tools and meditations and Lectio Divinas and all the goodies. Join me on our new Heartlift Central home base on Substack. All you have to do is go to heartliftcentral.substack.com. That's heartliftcentral.substack.com. There is a free subscription and a paid subscription. The paid subscription allows me to have a more private, more intimate relationship with you where we can communicate as privately as we can on the internet. That's why I've moved to Substack. because it affords deeper focus and more quality time to give to my work and my writing and my resources for you. It's giving me such joy to have less distraction of social media and have more focus on Substack. As a result of your paid subscription, you are also supporting the podcast and the work and the ministry of Heartlift International and Heartlift Central. So I thank you in advance. Second, meet me on Instagram always at Janelle Reardon. I post there and I will communicate with you. And thirdly is my newsletter. I still have my newsletter available to you. So be sure to hop over to JanelleReardon.com and subscribe to that newsletter that comes out bi-weekly. And you also get notice of when the podcast is released and get all the show notes and all that jazz. So we have some beautiful ways to connect, and I am so excited about this journey. I close with another little glimmer from the orchid tied to the tree trunk. Much like the orchid tied to the tree trunk, we too have an innate need to be tied to others. Social connections, writes author and columnist Emily Eshafani Smith, are as important to our survival and flourishing as the need for food, safety, and shelter. Sociobiologist E.O. Wilson says, "To be kept in solitude is to be kept in pain and put on the road to madness." A person's membership in his group, his tribe, is a large part of his identity. Connecting with others is essential as oxygen. Extroverts and introverts alike all have a need to connect, to belong, to share life. When God has breathed his life into our being, he breathed into our souls this deep, beautiful desire for belonging and connection. Let's connect. Let's belong.